It's over. No, it ain't. I have no idea what's going on. I got to keep coming up with these catchy clickbait titles. I got to start making some thumbnails where Shooty's crying, and so it's just getting more and more ridiculous. The funniest part is there hasn't been a show now in how many weeks, and yet all these guys keep coming up with these clickbait titles, clickbait thumbnail art, and are still going on about it. Like, I'm more concerned about what's going on in the Middle East right now, okay? I wouldn't be worried about my profit margins. I'd be worried about how far this nifty little, this particular scrap in the sandbox is going to go. And because if I remember right, I think Iran has nukes. Well, we destroyed, yeah, but what about the ones that are already built? The nukes that are already out there? Iran has nukes, Israel has nukes, Pakistan has nukes, I think India has nukes. It's like, it's a powder keg, man. And that's what I said. That's what I'm more worried about right now than the tardy and the drunkard who are, too busy out there dictating to us what modern, literature and modern entertainment should be like. It kind of scares me. Why is it when, guys like me talk about stuff, we're declared boomers, middle class, no, we're not middle class, I mean, middle aged, class authoritarians. And, well, here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out where this whole king thing came from because, like I said, I really don't give a shit who's president. But I don't recall the man ever saying he was a king. And just because you have a thing, by the way, it was also the 250th birthday of the Army. I am a little worried about the fact that, yeah, we had this big march and all that like it was a show of power, which we shouldn't have to do. But it's, first it's, BLM, then it's what you call it, then it's this, and it's that. And it's like, it seems like every 5 minutes, like, then you got Just Stop Oil, you got Just Stop this. Oh. And all this nonsense is just going crazy. And for what? That's what I'm more worried about. Ugh. Yeah, I turned 53 on June 3rd, so. Sorry, 54. I lost a year, or I tried to, but it didn't work. Uh, so, yeah, well, everybody's on social media going on and on about what was said on The View this week or something. I'm like, hello, guys? Reality is knocking on our doors. But let's get back to Doctor Who. As I said, right now, I love how they're carrying on and on and on and on as if they have some inside information. The problem is, I think what it was RTD and them were expecting, to be so overwhelmingly good. And remember, this is just a gut feeling. This is not fact. I think RTD and them were thinking that this show was going to be so overwhelmingly astounding that they were going to get an approval before, the deadline was up. And it didn't happen. And I know, like I said, I'm trying to avoid politics because it's not really my field. And like I said, those are the things I truly worry about. And even then, not much I can do about it except go to work. All right. So, but I love the fact that, yeah, they're carrying on and on and on as if they know what's going on behind the scenes, and nobody knows anything other than we have this alleged leak from Gallifrey Base But this particular leaker apparently has been more accurate than others, and I have to agree with what they said. I've seen this on X. I think Mark passed me a copy of this, and I went over this with the guys, on our Zoom chat this last week. I said, I'm loving how they're going. We're doing a spin-off for CBBS, but would someone please come forward and produce it? So they haven't got a production company in place yet. At least that's what I'm reading into it. Maybe I'm wrong. But no, Mark, no, you do not want to bring back the Vervoids. If they screwed up Sutek, they screwed up Omega. And by the way, yeah, Carol Ann Ford, I believe, turned 85 today. Or maybe I'm a day off. I think it was her birthday today. I have to go double check. And they screwed that up. Her return to the show, and it didn't pay off. Like I said, don't get me wrong. I am incredibly happy for what little we got. Like I said, same thing with William Russell, when he appeared. That's all I really wanted. I'm glad Carol Ann at least got to appear on the show, but don't sit there and tease us with something and then don't pay it off. And it's like, why are you advertising something you ain't got a production company for yet? That worries me a little. It's not the show really itself, okay? Like I said, I did make it sound a little bit catty last time I was on here, but exactly. I'm glad that she did get that minute or so that she was on the show, but I would have liked to have at least had a payoff. Look at William Russell. Chibnall had him back for all of how long? And it's that one line, bam, payoff. Did you say, huh? That was amazing. Well, yeah, William Russell. Oh man, like I said, just that one line was astounding. I'm dying laughing because, well, what happened was Careful. I'm going to call you Careful because I don't know your real name, and chances are I won't remember your real name. So, like I said, it takes me a while to plug names in these days. It happens when you get older. What happened is they re-edited the ending. What Doctor Who Filming Locations, Productions, and a few other people told us about did actually happen. All of a sudden, there were a bunch of reshoots and all that. And then they, because they found out Shooty is indeed leaving. That right there tells me that decision was not made till later and after everything had been filmed. It was no pre-planned 2-year horseshit. Because if it had been pre-planned, there's no way in hell that edit on that final episode would have been that freaking horrible. Not to mention an entire alternate ending tacked on to cover that up. That's why right there, that's another indicator that it was all, we only planned to be here for, do it for 2 years. But no, he was sitting there telling us about how he had plans for 3, 4, Russell T. Davies was sitting there telling us about how he had plans for 3, 4, 5, and all this shit, and then promising no gap years. And like I said, that leads me to the hypothesis that, he thought that they were just going to be so astounded that they were going to just approve this thing before it got to the deadline, which can happen with some series. Yeah, and you're right. Thank you, Mark, for bringing that up. We all saw it. They're treating us like we're a bunch of simpletons, that moment didn't happen. Bullshit, we all saw it. Where Shooty Gatwa sat there and said, I have no idea why Doctor Who Production, if you're talking about Doctor Who Production News on X, I'll have to go double check, but I don't know why they would be so quiet at the moment unless it's because of the same reasons that I'm telling you. No one has heard anything. They have clamped the doors even tighter shut. Especially after they found out somebody had been leaking entire storylines. Well, the one was completely, unless that was part of the deleted scene where they were sitting there running off lines they heard, blah, blah, blah. Unless that was part of the big deleted sequence that got, replaced later with the Doctor and Susan. But, But like I said, it's just kind of sad that, yeah, I'm glad as hell. At least we did get Carol Ann Ford back for that little bit. But I'm just sad that there was no payoff to it. Like I said, we had William Russell back for one scene and in one line. Bam. And yet, I'm dying laughing because these guys are still saying Chibnall was mediocre. Guys, Chibnall's finales, compared to the finales we got these last 2 years, were phenomenal. Ugh. It just upsets me, yeah, that they just won't level with us and tell us, okay, we're in trouble. The phone's not ringing from Disney. I don't think they've heard a yay or a nay, or at least none that I've heard of. And yes, they are shopping around. I believe fully they are shopping around for another production company. But that's just standard in case you do get a rejection, or if you have gotten a rejection, we just don't know about it. Say, look, we got to shop around now and find out if there's someone else who can do it. And I do fully believe that, yes, another production company would take over, but they're going to want to have more creative control of it. That's just them hedging their bets. That's not them being dicks. This other production company hypothesis, let's say this is happening, okay? Just theorizing. If they're, look at this other production company. You want them to sink millions of dollars into your product, and they're going to rely on you to deliver with no creative content control at all. Of course, they're going to say, guys, if we're going to give you money, I agree with you, Saeed. I fully believe that RTD thought they were going to renew right off the bat, or they're going to renew sooner, by the end of the season, because it was going to be so astoundingly good. Oh man, like I said, these last 2 series enders were just major disappointments. The story arcs were not paid off in any way, and I can't believe I'm sitting here saying this kind of stuff, but it's true. Now, everyone's still, of course, going on and on about, well, what does Billy Piper have to do with this? Billy Piper's scene, I can tell you right now, just look at the way it was edited, look at the way it was done. That's a last-minute throw-in, guys. Come on. That all of a sudden the regeneration energy is in there. Look at the last few regenerations we got, okay? Mark, if you think you got it bad, go look up the Australian, what is that, the Huntsman spider or something like that? Trust me, I don't even look at the big spiders here the same way after I've seen one of them things online. But yeah, I got a spider big enough to eat your head that lives in Australia. Oh, that's right, Australia don't exist according to the flat earthers. My buddy AJ's an actor. So is my other buddy Bo and some others I know down there. All right, they're all living in Spain and they're faking it. But all right, great, now I lost my train of thought. What do you expect? It's Monday. Oh. But as I said, we don't know what's going on right now. Nobody has a definitive yay or nay on what's going on. I would not be the least bit surprised, though, given the results that I've seen, that Disney said no. And the problem we have here now is this. Here it is. Get ready to sit down, because this is how I see it. This is all opinion, okay? Bad Wolf has studios like the ones they use to film in the Avengers, big screen, green screen studios and all that. And one of the people in charge of Bad Wolf, of course, is Julie Gardner, a longtime, co-worker, friend, and all that of Russell T Davies. And what's happening is this. Let's say the BBC say, look, We want, they give them like the Sidney Newman line from An Adventure in Space and Time. We want the show to go on, just not with you, RTD, in charge. Right there, Julie Gardner will pack Bad Wolf up and take their toys and go home. Because Julie will back RTD. If RTD's removed as head of the show, there goes Bad Wolf with him. So there goes your studio facilities and all that. And that right there costs money, which Bad Wolf was helping front. At least that's what, because they were providing the studios and all that, filming location, all that stuff. Also, there goes your TARDIS set. You're going to have to come up with a new one. You're going to have to come up with another production company. You're going to have to go back to your own studios and all that stuff. And the BBC probably doesn't want to do that. So guess what? Doctor Who's being held hostage. Da, 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 da. Like I said, I really expected a lot from RTD, given his previous season finales and all that, and it just didn't work. That's the lowest rating I think I've ever given a Doctor Who episode in a long time. I gave this ending a 3 out of 10. And I did, that's just, and it only got that high because Jodie showed up, and poor Shooty, he's out there performing up a storm, but the plot line and everything going on around him is just, I wanted to throw him a life preserver. Shooty, get on the door, screw Rose. I don't want you to freeze to death and go down with the ship. Oh, well. I got to get inside. I am running way, way over. So please, be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your Mondays. And remember, Thursday's Juneteenth. I will try to pop in on you, but there's no guarantees, okay? Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one, everybody.